And that case would ultimately have punishments, potentially a revoked driver's license or a higher wanted level, right? If the case is open, law enforcement and supervisors will have full control over that. Remember, we're talking about my vehicles. I'm going to skip that for right now, but that's where you're going to register your vanity plates later tonight. You will allow up to 25. You can then set those on your cars, and anyone else that drives those, it'll change it, here in a couple days once we get the scripts pushed in. All right, so we'll go back over to the law enforcement panel, and I'll show you the core functionality for this. All right, so that you can actually see it. So this is what you'll see, and remember, you can hide this little banner, on the side so you can actually see it full screen. This is what you'll see here before you're clocked in. So right now, you don't have to do anything, as you can see. Once you've clocked in, do not refresh. Give us about 30 to 60 seconds. We'll work our magic to get you connected. So this is a completely different system, again, from CaliHub and CaliGarage from what you guys have used before. It's fully dynamic. Everything works, and refreshes live. So there is no page refreshing needed, essentially once you're connected. So that way you can see real-time officer status. It's changing, right? You're not waiting for all that information. That's really what took so long, right? It's a big difference when you talk about loading content dynamically like this versus statically. I'm not going to get super technical for those that don't give a shit, but it's a pain in the ass to do. And it took a very, very long time to just even establish the framework that allows this possibility. All right, so let me go ahead and fake clock in again, and you'll see that, again, with no interaction, no page refresh, you can see the connections established. Penguins are hard at work. For those that have known me for a while, I got to throw penguins in somewhere, right? Nice, pretty animations for your officer loading, and you're going to get all your information for your officers. So a couple things to walk you through the panel. Your status here, along with the time frame for your status, is shown up here in the top right. You can see you're asking about 911 calls. One did just come in at 311 East Joshua Road. You can see down here it was a test, so one of y'all just triggered a 911 call while we were in here. If dispatch mode is not on, meaning we do not have active dispatch, you will be able to self-assign. So by clicking assign myself, for example, you can see here I've now assigned myself to this one here, and the status has already put me en route. So we would think logically, right? If we're attaching to a 911 call, please stop triggering 911s. I don't need 40 million. If you continue to do it, you will be banned. I'm serious. Like, it's great.
Kids,
Thank
man,
y'all,
I'm
but
telling you.
stop. Jesus Christ. Like, one was enough. I don't need 40. You can see they'll come in, though, and you can see I don't have the ability as an officer to attach to these other calls because I am en route. For launch, we're showing visibility. But obviously, if you're en route, on scene, you're not going to see 911 calls, right, if you're on scene somewhere. So if I'm en route, right, I'm attached to a call. Just think logically, right? I should either be able to close the call like it didn't happen, which I could do, but I shouldn't be able to go to busy, unavailable, or available status, right? Because again, dispatch is not online. I'm en route to a call. So you can see we've built in logic. You can only update your status to on scene while you're en route to a call. So this helps keep that logic true, with what you see from your fellow officers. So if I update to on scene, you can see I go to on scene here. Now I'm able to close that call, right? And I can't change or adjust my status. I can't go en route. You need to wait because there's cooldowns. We had to place cooldowns because I know y'all will be click fucking happy and we'll just go nuts. So we had to put cooldowns on all this, but you can see you need to close your active call before changing to a status other than on scene, right? So calls are important. Let's talk a little bit about calls, right? So whether you create a new call, with a call type description and you're attaching additional officers, right? Or you're part of a 911 call, right? Like you've pulled somebody over a traffic stop or you're attaching to a 911 call, you're on scene. Once you're done, you'll be able to close that call. Now, keep in mind, as a supervisor and as dispatch, you will be able to close calls. Dispatch shouldn't be closing calls because it should be the officer, but they do have the ability if the officer logged off and it's no longer there. But the closing of the case is really important, right? Because this allows you to link it to the characters that are registered from the first page that you saw. You're going to provide a call summary, just a brief summary, because just like real law enforcement, we're going to provide a summary, just what you did. And then we could have 40 characters attached to a call, but then what are those charges? What did you charge that group with, right? So all of our charges are preloaded. Everything's loaded in. Their penal codes, everything's loaded into the back end. You can search, you can attach multiple charges, right, to those characters. And you know, for example, if I type in Rocket Stone, you saw my character, I can attach multiple characters, right, to the call. I can attach additional officers after the fact, right? Ren's not even in the server, but maybe he was involved in the call, right? That's still a fucking possibility, right? So do 101, you can see I see Slater in there, and there is Mr. King Ren. So I can attach him to the call as well. So if you've clocked in at least once, you'll show up in the closure, and you'll be able to attach additional officers. And when you do this, as you can see here, if there are any charges associated with these characters, it will open up a case file. That's where you can just kind of do your shift throughout the day, right? You're going to have case files at the end of the day. Supervisors, I expect you to stay on top of your officers, right? These case files should be closed out in a timely fashion. All of you that are attached to these cases, right, are responsible for that. You need to assign out the charges. If you're going to set up wanted levels, right, they got away, the case is going to stay open. If you're going to suspend driver's licenses, whatever the hell you're going to do with these characters, this is just a quick summary, because remember, you're on duty. We don't have the time to gather all that extra bullshit right now. That can happen later, or when you're at the jail and you pop the case management side up, right? And you go through and you assign the charges, and you divvy out everything that will either suspend the driver's license, control the wanting level, which will help drive the BOLO list, right? The wanted levels that you'll see. Characters, you know, that are logged into the server that are wanted, they're going to be highlighted at the top of your CAD screen, because who gives a shit if they're not online, right? We're not going to tell you where they're at. But wanted characters that are wanted in some sort of way, like that old wanted list, they're going to show up saying that they're online active in the server. So you guys in RTO have an incentive. You're going to see those wanted people that are out on bolos and out on cases that are, you know, you guys need to catch, if and when they log in, and only when they're in. So it matters, right? So that, because those records are associated. So call closing, very important, right? Linking charges, characters, and all of that stuff. Now, if you guys have your audio turned up on my screen share, I don't know. Does this thing share audio? I don't know if it does. I could try. Let me know if you guys hear this.
Sound is now enabled. Should you wish to disable it, just press the button again.
All right. So you guys heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we do have sound functionality for those that have asked. What's dope about this too, I spent a lot of time with the panic notifications. So when you trigger a panic, so you can hear the 911 call, but watch this. So I'll do a panic.
Alert. Officer is in distress. Please drop all non-priority calls and assist your fellow officer.
You can see up here
in fucking England.
Yeah, right. We got Mr. Clean up in the house, right? We got a lot we're going to be doing with text-to-speech. A lot of cool stuff that we can do.
Wait a second. Hold on. Yeah. Are you telling me that we can have, like, Kevin Hart as the voice or something?
Yeah, we got to pay for it. We got to fucking pay for it.
God.
But yeah, you can pipe through custom text. So right now it's just showing, you know, it's calling out 911 calls right now. I'm gonna turn off the sound because it's annoying right now.
Can we get Snoop Dogg?
But you can pipe custom.
Oh my God!
Sounds so that right now it's just announcing 1099s, but we can actually say Rocket in distress at 5,000. You know, Falcon.
Yeah,
have it announced. So it's not going to sound like Parakeet. It's going to sound like a real life person. You know.
That's
we can do. So this is playing around with next gen technology. It is using artificial intelligence, and it ain't cheap. So. More to come on that, but right now it does announce, you know, for when you have sound on. Again, as a supervisor and in dispatch, I'll show you that in a minute, you do have the ability to dismiss these. I understand people will make mistakes. They trigger panics and shit like that, so you can dismiss it. It's logged, but you dismiss the officer in distress if you need to. Couple other things I want to just point out before I move on into supervisory side, right? You can see as new 911 calls are coming in, they expire. If I'm not an officer that I'm a part of that call, or if I'm not a supervisors, dispatch, right? Anybody that's supervisor, you're going to see all calls. You'll have the ability to see all calls. I'll show you that in a minute. But as an officer, right, just a regular LEO, we need to keep your screen as clean as possible, right? Only show incoming 911 calls, right? So that's either real, or I'm hoping one of y'all didn't fake that. But if y'all are in the server right now, 106, Taffy's getting kidnapped, right? So you'll be able to, you know, it's because I can't attach to this call because I'm already on another call, right? So all those logic statements are in place just to prevent duplicate assignment, all of that fun stuff. So let me just go ahead and close out of the call. I'm just going to close this so I can go back out. So I'll do closed out. And then it says you've been set back to 10.8. So you can see I am now available. And now I can assign myself, right? Because I've closed out of that call for 60 seconds as a regular officer. I'm good to go. Couple things I want to call out on the statuses, because this is where I hope we can drive really cool innovation. And, when you're dispatching or you're helping each other out, you guys can really help see the status. So the status bar up top here, you can see is set to available, but that's because all officers are available. That'll change dynamically as officers change status. So I'll show you that in a minute when I enable the dispatch mode for myself, and I can actually update everybody's statuses right now. Like right now, I'm an officer. I can't change other people's statuses, right? So I can come in here, I can filter by department. So I can look right now at DHS. Looks like this is a fake record because it's for development purposes, but it looks like we only have one person in right now in DHS across the server. So I can go over to CIA. Here are our CIA people right now that are currently clocked into the server in /duty. This is live. Location data at launch, let me preface this, is anywhere from 15 to 45 seconds. When Ryan gets back, we've tested it down to 10 to 15 seconds, and we're going to try to keep getting shorter. When 911 calls come in, those are instant, right? We pull real time. And then when panics are triggered, obviously we pull real time as well too. But the location you see here could be potentially delayed because, again, we're testing thresholds. We expect that, hundreds of you will be on this page at once, and we need to make sure that those thresholds are holding well. So you can see somebody just clocked into CIA, became available. This dynamically refreshed. You didn't have to refresh the page. Everything's nice and fluid. Can't tell you how long this fucking took to get it to this point, right? Just to make it easy for everyone to see. So you have your departments, then you have your statuses, right? So if you can filter by en route, busy, on scene. So I want to know people that are available to be able to route calls, right? I want to know people in Blaine County, so I can filter by just the BC guys, right? If I'm in BC RTO, because again, we're not splitting up views. This is your filter. You want to be in LA? Here's your LA view, and it will filter your 911 calls accordingly, right? So you have your all areas you can filter. And then you got a few options over here by groups right now, because there's only one, Air 1. You can see I can filter by Air 1. So as dispatch, they could go by each car, check their statuses, change the status of the car, all that magic, just by filtering by group. And it stays, right? If I stay on group, somebody comes in here, you join the group, you're good to go. Now I'm trusting all officers because it's logged. Anyone will be able to join groups. Dispatch and supervisors will be able to kick people from groups. And when that happens, you have a 5-minute cooldown. Supervisors in dispatch have no cooldown. Non-supervisors in dispatch will be able to create and join groups once every 5 minutes, right? So there's some cooldown technology in place to prevent abuse of group assignment. And keep in mind, when dispatch mode is on, there is active dispatch. You as an officer will not be able to control your status. You will not be able to self-attach to calls. You will not be able to join and create groups, right? Because we are in dispatch mode, right? Dispatch is supposed to be taking care of all of that. So when they are active, and I will show you that in a minute, you will not be able to update your status and change it around, okay? You filter back. All right, so couple other things here. So let's create a new group. So I'm just going to create a new group down here. We'll call this car 1. Save changes. You can see even up here, it adjusted to car 1. Groups adjusted to car 1, right? I can filter now to car 1. Now, because none of y'all are in this system yet, I do have to add a handful of you manually to car 1, which I will do real quick. 1 second. You just pick a bunch of random. You might get lucky. All right. So here's all the people right now that are part of car 1, right? So I've added a whole bunch of people to car 1 that are part of this group. So you can see down here, all of you that would be in this portal right here would have your name mentioned here, and then you'd be able to leave the group. You don't want to be a part of the group anymore? No problem, right? You leave the group. Or you can create a new group. Remember, once every 5 minutes if you're not a non-supervisor. At this point, once you're grouped, it should just make sense, right? If a 911 call comes in, and I'm part of this group, we should all get assigned to it, right? Because we're part of the group. Why not, right? So let me go back to emergency calls. Hold on a second. Let me drop in a minute. Let me drop in a new call from my side, or that works too. Thank you. All right, so on the 911 call, when I click assign myself, you can see it is attached me along with all of the individuals that are part of car 1. Because again, I don't want the system to be fucking dumb. It should just follow logic, right? If I'm part of a car, we're all in the same goddamn car. That's how that works, right? you can see the percentage is updated up at the top because we're now all en route, right? We are on the way to a 911 call, right? We're responding. We're all in the same car. I can't go to busy, right? Because again, that doesn't make any sense. We're only supposed to either go on scene or we need to close the call out like it didn't happen. It was still a call, right? We're expecting you to respond. So once we're on scene, you can see I update everybody's status updates to on scene. You can then filter this accordingly, right? So that your filters would update dynamically. I can look at available or on scene. Obviously, available on car one is going to show nothing, right? Available all groups or on scene, right? All groups. We can start to see how many people are responding to calls, right? Where they're at. Are they en route? Are they on scene, right? When dispatch is locked down, dispatch is going to have to be pretty good. Get these statuses update. And I'll show you how that's performed. But I wanted to kind of just show the logic because this is important, right? And just making sure that you guys see this because this took a lot to get working. And then you can see it auto attaches your additional officers as part of that call, and you'll be able to close that call out. And then we're all going to go back 10-8. You can see no longer are we in that call, and within the departments here, and I'll filter back by car one, we're back in available. So if I create another group, for example, and go to test, oh yeah, I'm in cooldown. So I don't have an override because remember, I'm a normal officer. So I can leave the group. See, now I'm solo, but I can't join because again, there's cooldowns, right? So a lot of logic statements, supervisors, dispatch, you have bypasses, of course, make life a lot easier for all y'all. Okay, so in summary, you got all your filters up here at the top. You'll be able to filter accordingly. You have character lookup, your notes, turning sound capabilities. We'll add more functionality here. Create Bolo will be dropped in just about 30 minutes. That was what I was literally working on just a moment ago. I was just adding a function here so you can just trigger a Bolo on the license plate that you saw, for example. So we'll have some functions here. But the core functionality, obviously is in place for you guys to be able to start getting in and routing, associating charges to characters, and then getting in with the case management. Let me give some of my perms out now to myself so you guys can kind of see what the supervisor perms look like. So I'll grant myself LEO supervisor perms for CAD. Just that does require a page refresh because it does grab it at page load. So you can see I have supervisor access now. I have the ability to attach, detach, and view all calls. Because 911 calls has come in today and y'all don't have the ability to work any of them, they've just been sitting stale, right? I haven't touched them. 55 calls have come in today. So I can click on view all calls, and now I can see all the 911 calls that are associated right now across the entire server. We'll clear this out, obviously, at launch because you guys should be working these and they should be closed out in a timely manner. And then supervisors and dispatch, let's not let these get out of control. If you're starting to see the time climb, as dispatch, you should be checking on your fellow officers, right? And seeing why they're, at the bottom of the list, why they're, why they're taking so long to, close out of their call. That should be pretty apparent, right? So when you go back to, viewing my calls, you can see it just filters because my calls, remember, is a new 911 call. These two right now, and view all calls would be all of them, past 60 seconds. So we have some logic on that as well too. All right. Now you can attach. So like, for example, as as a supervisor, if it's not in dispatch mode, you are kind of acting as like improv dispatch supervisors. You do have the ability to do that. Again, you'd go back over to view all calls. If I wanted to go back historically and grab one of those calls earlier, I can do attach call. Every time you select this drop down, it's good. And you click this, see how it says searching real quick. It's pulling available officers. We do have a check. So if you do happen to hit these two, and you hit attach and they're not available anymore, it's going to warn you and say you got to select new officers. But if we try to get it as real time, you should be quick with it, right, to attach these officers up. Now, individuals are up top, and then, of course, your grouping units are down here. So you can, link your car one groups, and they're going to show up separately. So individual and groups you can attach to calls. So I can grab, just grab somebody like Yusuf. We'll just grab a couple of y'all. Just grab the top. Oops. There we go. So you can see units attached to call. Whoever I selected first became primary. Now, primary is the only person who can close out of a call. If you as a supervisor, again, you can close a call. We don't advise you to, but you better notate it, right? Because leadership, the high command is going to be looking at these reports. And in just about a week, we'll have all sorts of new department reports on how fast you're responding to 911 calls. We got all these cool metrics coming, right? Because we know how quickly, we know how long you're staying en route, we know how fast you're responding, how quickly you're clicking assign when dispatch isn't online. So obviously you won't be penalized when dispatch isn't online, but if it's in self-assign mode, we're going to know some pretty cool metrics. So not going to be, judged against it, but it'll give some logic of leaderboard status and things like that so that you can kind of see your response time. It's not going to control eligibility is what I mean, but it's neat to see, like, if you let 911 calls lapse, were you available, and you were in available status, you had a 911 call come in, you and 10 other officers were available and none of you pressed that button. Well, guess what? From our back end, that's on all 10 of you. We're never going to show you that from that perspective, but we'll show high command missed 911 calls, right? That you were in an available status and you missed it. So we're going to roll out those type of metrics just to see, again, no grading, no eligibility, but just to showcase different metrics to see how those leaderboards stack up, see who our best officers are, see how, the ones that are in the most groups all the time, like in car ones and things like that, we can tell because everything's logged, in here. So we'll be able to really kind of get a keen eye on all of this. So if you do detach the primary as a supervisor or in dispatch, you can see here it's smart enough to know that and will give Yusuf the primary position. So if I detach Mendez, you'll see Yusuf will become primary, and now Yusuf is the only one to control it. Unless these two are supervisors or dispatch, then they could close out the call too. But for regular officers, the primary officer is the only one that can close it. Because again, we're thinking VOs, new people, right? Especially with self-assignment, that can get dangerous. So let me show you dispatch, because I'll show you the dispatch modes and functionalities here. We're going to have a couple additional views that I'm not going to show right now. But again, you're starting to, I hope, piece all this together, simplistic wise of how things are supposed to flow. So again, if I'm dispatch, I'm going to come in here. We're going to let the statuses load. I'm now going to be able to control statuses across, any of our groups, right? So you can see these people are en route. I have drop downs now. I can change statuses real time. And as I'm doing that, you can see the percentage bar is updating accordingly. So now I have available, I have busy, right? So we're able to adjust and control filters and adjust availability here. So lots of cool stuff coming for this with filters. So looking at all statuses, right? Say filtering by, department. I can look at ATF, BCSO. So it's now shown in the department view. I can filter by longest available. This is really neat for dispatch. So I know the people that are, sitting in the longest available, and maybe I only care about Blaine County. So if I'm routing, the next call that would be coming in from dispatch, I'd be assigning out to J Dollar. Over in Los Angeles County, I'd be giving that out to James W., right, as if 911s were coming in, at least somewhat, right? If it was in the 700 postal, I'd look down a little bit. Okay, if we had a 400, 500 postal 911, might give it to Kaz, right, and then attach that call to Kaz down there, link it over here on the right-hand side. We'll have additional attach functions. We're going to have additional pop-ups where you'll kind of highlight it. It'll show you how long they've been clocked in for, because again, we're just keeping it simple. We need to test to make sure we're stable, that all of this can hold right now, obviously with 47, and sometimes like earlier was almost 127 officers online at once. So, making sure that it's all fluid and flowing correctly as well. So if you do get, if we talk about dispatch mode, for example, so if I'm not refreshing the page, if dispatch comes in, they set it into dispatch mode, it's going to log it, probably going to be a / command once Ryan comes back to enable it so that they can clock in and actually dispatch, which will be, signing out manually permissions tonight. But you can see here, system is in dispatch mode. Changing your status is only allowed by dispatch, right? So once the system's in that mode, dispatch is the only person who can actually control it. Now, I've actually taken my perms away, even though I still have the drop down. It wouldn't have worked if I would have changed it, because again, we have checks on that side too. But you can see I'm now not dispatch. I can't change people's status, but I'm still a supervisor, right? Can't update status, but I can attach, detach to calls, which will put them on scene and so forth. So this is the functionality that we're going to release tonight. We'll showcase the case management. It takes so long to go through because of the linking of all the documentation. I'm going to save it for the documentation, because tonight, again, we're going to have calls. You guys are going to be able to route those calls. They're going to go into cases, and then the cases will then ultimately determine license status. Now, until we get the server push tomorrow to have the character registration, it's going to be really all on you. And anyone that, if you pull over that hasn't gone to Vista yet tonight in beta, right, and registered for a character, not going to be able to really link it to anything. So when you're closing out of your calls, you won't have a character to link to, and not necessarily any charges, right, until the characters are created. So please bear with us, just over the next 12 hours. Ryan's coming back from camping. I need his help along with Grab to get some changes done on the server side to support all this functionality. But I know I've been talking for a minute. I'll kind of pass it to the management team, just kind of open for any questions, and just I appreciate all your patience throughout all of this. It's been a long effort. If you do want the light mode, God forbid, I hope not, it does work. It is very painful if you want to stay awake, but you can use it. We're going to also support additional languages at some point, even though we're a primary English server. This system is going to be used by our partners and is dynamic for potentially any community to use, right? Along with your console, whereas dispatch, we're going to add some functionality to control those group and unit assignments. So 911's panics, status units, alerts, bot intelligence, parakeet built in. All of those functionalities are, was planned out of the gate. Some things that aren't working, again, until Ryan gets back, and then I'll shut up, is 911 calls do not auto route. So again, once we push the change tomorrow, when you accept a 911 call, you and or your group, if you're all attached, it will auto route you to the 911 postal, because again, it should. It makes sense. Same with 1099. You'll be able to respond to that, and it's going to, do the same thing, route the postal. You'll be able to look up plates, same thing. Once we get that pushed in tomorrow, plate lookup, name lookup, all of that, or Force ID, because again, we talked earlier for those that missed it. Once we push the character selection screen in, if you don't register here and you're just the normal person off the street with no Discord, you're going to be prompted to create a character. That's linked to the same hardware IDs we link Falcon Eye bands to. So you just have one character linked to your hardware IDs. And then law enforcement, if you have to Force ID on somebody, once we roll this out, they've had to create something, whether they refuse to identify or not. You do have a way to associate charges to all characters. I want to make sure you guys are clear on that, because that's huge. Something we've tried to change for a long time, right? If you're following, you will not have a way, once this is pushed, for anyone to be in the server that doesn't have a character. Whether you're registered in Vista and you just haven't made one yet, and we're going to prompt you to make a quick one, you're not going to have all the options that you saw a minute ago, like all those crazy traits and all of that. I'm not going to ask for the backstory there in game. You can come to Vista for that. You're just going to create a quick character. You'll be able to edit it, manage it here in a few days in the portal. But that's what we're going to ask for you guys tonight, is get those characters registered, get that information in there. Law enforcement start testing the LEO portal. We'll probably put it in dispatch mode tonight, assign out dispatchers, just make sure we're watching the flow of unit statuses, getting assigned to calls, having dispatch come in, making new calls, attaching additional officers to them. Those are the type of testing we're going to perform tonight, around with the case linking and all of that. So I hope you all are excited. We have new integrations coming for Cali Garage, your staff portal, staff leaderboards, evaluations. All of that is built in. Again, you just won't see it at launch. We're going to really control the launch of this, because I don't want things to crash. I do not want a repeat of Cali Hub, when it got a little rough. So, just to give you some of the vision of what you will expect to see in just, a week or two ahead, you'll see my menu options here on the left-hand side. You're going to supervisor and admin will have reporting here more than anything else, that will showcase some of the reports around, response time on 911 calls, how many open cases, all of this. There's going to be a lot more in here. Vista Garage, you're going to have your vehicle purchase, universal purchases, managing your vehicles, managing your trust, managing add-ons. So no more are we going to have Discord tickets for custom engine sounds and shit. You'll attach it to your car right here. Staff Hub for your dashboard, profile, leaderboards, and evaluation summaries that you've been asking for fucking ever. I know, I've listened. We've just been so busy. I'm sorry. It's coming. Vehicle development for our DevOps team. Again, we've split up development between dev and add-ons so that the developers have separate queues, right, between working development and potentially adding engine sounds to already cars that are in the server or new ones coming in. We have finance and vehicle and trust and player management for our management team members and high staff. We're going to have a CIA dashboard that will link you to unique identifiers for the CIA team to track and really investigate players based on our Falcon Eye band system and the hardware identifiers that we capture. We have so much planned. All I ask is just be patient. The framework is now in place. It consists of over 127,000 lines of code. I shit you not. 127 as of this morning, to just get the framework in place to get us to this point. And I promise you, now the hard part's over. We can add new functionality, like the sound functionality and the Jarvis thing. I think it took me 30 minutes to do. I was just having fun with that. I thought that'd be cool to do at launch. I wasn't even planning to have sound. But this is the type of stuff that we can do in 30 to 60 minutes, the quick stuff when we have a laundry list of items really to add. You know, you want different functions, you want different buttons. We're going to have to vote on it, right? Because again, we can't please everybody, but it's going to make it, you know, so that it's easy for everyone to manage and use across the community. So I want to thank y'all for your time. Appreciate it. We will have more information here shortly, and I'll kind of pass it to Ren or any of the management members if y'all want to add any additional pieces of information before we drop. Of course, if you drop and clock out, the system will know that, and you can see it's establishing connections. So it does have that two-way handshake. It has a two-way heartbeat, you know, between the in-game and the panel. So you can see right now I've clocked out, right? I've either dropped from the server, no longer clocked in. All right, cool. Anything else from the management team that are all muted up? Ren may have stepped away. Anyone else?
Nothing for me.
You did a lot of great work with this. Wonderful to see, man.
I appreciate it.
So,
I appreciate it.
I
Still got a
will
lot to
say-
go. Still got a lot to go.
Yeah, I will say this: the amount of work you've put in is, very much appreciated. For those of you that are going to be using this, I know it was a problem with the last CAD. Please do not try to troll management by suspending their license without them knowing, because as Stone has said,
Oh, I
we
gotta
have
check for
logs of it
that
all.
because I know one of y'all will fucking do it to one of my characters. If you try, we're alerted. I already added that. I know somebody's
God,
gonna
bro.
do it. I know somebody.
Did it happen to me like 6 months ago?
You
I'm like,
make
bro,
a case and say I shot somebody, and you suspend my driver's license in that case because that's the only way that that's possible now in the new system. If you have followed along, right?
Mhm.
If you say I was charged with a crime and you revoke my driver's license because of that, and I did not commit that crime, I'm gonna have you suspended. I swear to you. I will,
honestly.
because I didn't commit the crime, right? And I'll prove it. I wasn't in the server, wasn't in the city,
You're getting
right?
framed.
Yep, you're framing me. Don't you dare. You know? So we got a new newsletter. I'll wrap up with this for y'all to see. This is where we want to extend here at the end of 2023 into 2024, really just giving y'all some more information. We'll have still our Discord announcements, of course, but for some of the community updates that me and Grav do, for the Project Vista information, for some of the documentation, where to stay up to date on the latest Cali information, we're going to launch this new portion of this site, which will go live with Cali Vista this evening. This will be all of your go-to spot if you care. Some of y'all may not give a shit. Don't subscribe, don't care. But if you do, you want to stay up to date on the latest of everything with Cali, our technology, what's going on with departments, when DHS recruitments are happening, all the cool stuff, right? You're involved, you're critically involved into the community. This is where we want to drive you and all of our new members to really just get on that subscriber list if you want to be. Right? You can still get your Discord announcements if that's the preferred method you want. But again, you want to step in, learn a little bit more about Project Vista, kind of all of the stuff about the key features, that we talked about tonight, about real-time officer control, about dispatch efficiency, the advanced filtering between, who's longest available, and, looking at response times and scenario management on the reporting side. We want to build character creation and development. That group dynamics, it just makes sense. If I'm part of the group and I'm changing my status, it's impacting the entire group, right? So me and Ren are in a group together and I go available, we both go available. We go in a call, we go together, right? That logically is going to flow correctly, just to make your life easier for management, with these calls that'll be coming in from the city. got advanced case management, character progression. We also talk a little bit about, the team management and the technical challenges that we went through, right? We talk about it. Experience with CaliHub, where performance issues arose as the data set grew. We had to load balance more, for those that care about the technical shit. No, some of you don't, great. But if you do, we have a resource now for you to go to, learn a little bit more, right? When we merged with True Night, Grab put up a notice the other day. So we're going to drive more of you here. For those that are interested, it's going to be prevalent in our portals. We'll integrate more and more functionality into the weeks ahead. And I just, again, thank y'all for your patience. I really appreciate it. It's been so much effort of a lot of lost sleep. Just making sure you guys have a system that you can use, because I know how painful it's been to just kind of ad hoc role play without CAD. And I know how painful our last system was, and I know Sonaran couldn't support us, right? So we would not release a half-assed product. Let's just put it that way. That's the reason for the delay. I have quality standards, and honestly, we were just not happy with it. We kept going back to the drawing board. Delays in location data and updating real-time officer information when you have 150 people in, was challenging. So we've had to scale out to support this technology, and we're excited to bring it to you. Like I said, just bear with us now that the framework's in place. All the crazy features for Cali Garage, all that stuff, you're going to start to see all those menu options that you didn't see when I first started the demo on the left-hand side. 80 to 90% of that's built, but again, I don't want that there yet when we need to make sure CAD is stable, right? What's the point of having everything else in there if CAD, is struggling a little bit at launch? We've anticipated 20 servers, might need more. We don't know. We'll see. So we'll have to get you in, test it, get your characters registered. And that's not really the challenging part, right? The challenging part is that LEO dashboard. That's the real time. We're going to need a lot of officers in there really just sitting on there in /duty, right? And seeing how it performs. Let us know. We'll know very quick. So we've tested up to 125 already stable with our back end testing, but it's now we're now ready for real time testing. So post this call, just stay tuned. We'll need 20-30 minutes. I got to push a couple buttons. I got to take my dog out. When I push a couple buttons, this is like professional development. It compiles the source code, right, for the Project Vista, and pushes out the latest one to the front end, right, that y'all will be accessing. And it has to go through that whole motion. It takes about 20-30 minutes to recompile everything, because it's a huge front end and huge back end. So I'm going to push the button now. We're going to start compiling that. We're going to get some documentation ready. We'll have some training tonight. I understand there's going to be a lot of questions. Totally okay, right? Ask away with your fellow peers. It should just make sense, right? If you think, oh, it should have that, this is stupid, please don't, bear with us. That's all I'm asking. I know there's stuff in here that are missing. I'm well aware. We have a list of 150 things that still need to be added, but we need to get it out, right? We can't wait any longer. We're 100,000, lines in plus. It's ready for the masses, and we need to tailor it around your experience. So just kind of on a last note, just want to thank y'all again for the patience. I really do appreciate it. And I'm really excited to have y'all in, and excited to be part of these calls. Me and Ren are going to start to be, part of the role play. Ren has, but this is where I've been, right? This has been my world, and why you haven't seen me a lot in the servers. I'm constantly working with Ryan and Grav and the rest of the head developers, making sure in the management team that, the back end is flowing well, and that all the data is coming in, because we got a lot of cool stuff coming for 2024 too. The new version, you guys are going to be excited. All right. Management, any other questions before we break the stage? Or any other pieces of feedback or anything you want to share or reiterate today, such as staff members do not create characters for your staff team member. Meaning, don't make one for your staff character.
Yeah, can people not take our names as well? That'd be amazing. I want to see like 50 different like HUDs around the server, or license plates around the
I
server.
swear.
Yeah, so what you saw on the screen a minute ago for the clocked in officers is driven off of /duty. Yeah, if you clock in as like 102 Rocket or 114 Huddy, what you saw is the display name. Yeah, the display name for the leaderboards. If you put Huddy on your leaderboard name and you show up on the leaderboards like that, you're going to get banned. I'll just say that up front. But for, because all you're not really doing anything other than just showing that as your name, right? Because management's going to have a special tag next to them anyway for the social aspect of it. And you try to clock in with that, you'll be in more trouble. So don't do it. Brian already turned on the features we were seeing the other day where people were trying to clock in with dots, like /duty and then ... Yeah, try that again. Chroma's going to DM you. That's abusing of you're not providing your accurate call sign or display name. So again, it drives all off of you, right? Please provide correct information. That's the whole point of this, right? This is realistic role play. Don't fake it. Your characters, yes, but everything else, make sure it's, it's associated correctly. All right, cool. We'll go ahead and break. Thank you all for your time.